What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. The album I'm about to review tonight, is Brand Nubian's debut album, One for All, released in 1990 on Elektra Records. Singles albums known for are, give me one second. Brand Nubian, Feel So Good, Wake Up, Slow Down, and All for One. And the producers include Brand Nubian, Dante Ross on executive, Dan James Hall, Skef Enslam, very dope producer by the way, and the Stimulated Dummies. Brand Nubian's definitely one of my favorite hip hop groups of all time. The way I see Brand Nubian, I always see them as a renaissance of conscious music in a way, because I always felt like they kind of aided the second wave of conscious hip hop, in my opinion, where I would say like Brand Nubian, you had X-Clan, then you had the Poor Righteous Teachers and shit like that. I would say the first wave would be like Public Enemy and the Boogie Down Productions and so on and so on. But yeah, but at the same time, I always saw them more also one of the few conscious hip hop groups that like they get love from like hardcore hip hop fan base too, and that's why I always consider them to be like more of like a synthesis to the hardcore and the conscious hip hop, if you get what I'm saying. And it's crazy too because they're one of the few East Coast acts that were actually on the Master Society soundtrack too, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. For those of you guys know who Brand Nubian are, Brand Nubian, they are a hip hop group based off New Rochelle, New York. Excuse me. Members include Grand Puba, Sadat X, Lord Jamar, and DJ Alamo. And this was the original lineup. They got together. Well, they formed in '89, but Grand Puba, he was already made a name for himself as a member of the group, the Master of the Ceremony, where they had this album called Dynamite that was dropped in '88 and shit like that. I'm definitely going to talk about that album one day and shit like that, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, then they dropped their first single, Brand Nubian, that same year in '89. That song actually got them recognized in Elektra Records, so discovered by Dante Ross, and he got them a deal in Elektra Records, and that's how this album came out. Yeah, definitely one of the, you can pretty much say this album definitely put like the 5% on the map, to say the least, and shit like that, because yeah, this is pretty that way, because you know they're repping that shit hard, you know, and shit like that, as you can see in the album cover. Very dope album cover, by the way. Yeah, and I do apologize for the condition of this album. Crazy thing, I actually didn't buy the album. I knew the album was gonna be like this, and he did say he didn't have like a case for it, but at the same time, I was like, I need an album in my collection, so yeah, I do apologize for the condition like this. As I'm just glad I put it on a Ziploc bag, so fuck it. Alright, so with that being said, we got about 16 songs. Let's get this shit started. Track number 1, All for One. That was a song that was just playing in the background. Very dope song. One of my favorite Brand Nubian songs. Very nice way to start the album off and shit. And with that being said, I forgot to mention, around this time this album was made, Sadat X, he was known as Derek X, and he referred to that throughout this album and shit. So I thought that was a pretty interesting and shit. Next track, Feel So Good. That's a very cool song. Interesting fact, this song is only available on a CD and shit like that. So yeah, so if you guys have like the vinyl version, you guys won't get this song or the other song Brand Nubian and shit. But I guess it was because it was dropped in '89. I don't know, who knows? But yeah, Feels So Good. That's like a nice little gem right there, you know. Next thing we have is Concerto in X minor. That's like a Sadat X solo joint. You can still see he was still trying to find himself, you know, throughout this album, but he still did his thing on this album, you know, very dope song. Love the beat too. Then track number 4 we got Ragtime. Yeah, it's an okay song. Like as a title, it definitely like has like a jazzy, to say at least a jazzy kind of beat, to be real with you and shit. But yeah, if you guys like that shit, yeah, you guys would appreciate it. Track number 5, To the Right, very dope song. Uses a very famous James Brown sample and shit like that. Who has the best verse? Like, yeah, I definitely felt like Pooba definitely did his thing on this song and shit like that. He definitely has like a lot of solo songs throughout this album, which I'll talk about in a minute. I love when he says, "Well, honey, here's a hiccup. Pooba's not a quickie. When it comes to skins, goddamn, I'm picky. Who will be the princess to occupy the prince? And if she's less than dope, I hope the limo got tints." Like, and it's crazy too. Like the way I love the way, you know, whenever he raps, he just places his wordplay and the way he places his words together and shit like that. Yeah, definitely a dope song, To the Right. Next song, Dance to My Ministry. Very, very dope track. Love that song. This is one of the reasons why I love this album, because even though the beats were like a lot more up tempo in the 1990 standards and shit like that, they were still dropping knowledge at the same time. Lord Jamar, in my opinion, definitely did his thing on this album, on the song, excuse me. Loved when he said, through trickery but hickory dickory dock, times run out on a clock. The shepherd is here to protect the flock. With my staff I walk through the wilderness, build on math and destroy all the villainous criminals. Like, whew, very dope and shit like that. Dance in My Ministry. Next song we have is Drop the Bomb. That song is actually written against revenge of Yakub and shit like that. For all my 5%ers, you guys should know about Yakub and shit. Very dope song. Drop the Bomb. I think what they mean by drama, it just basically means like drop knowledge on these niggas and shit like that. Yeah, very dope song, love that. Then we got the Wake Up remix, the Stimulated Dummies mix. I could have done without this remix, to be honest. I prefer the original version better. I'll get into that in a minute. Even Grand Pooba, he even went on to say he didn't realize why that song was placed or was sequenced higher than the original version of Wake Up, but to each his own. Track number 9, Step to the Rear. Very dope song, love that song. That song definitely like had like a battle rap feel to it and shit like that. So yeah, very cool song. Track number 10, Slow Down. Believe it or not, that's probably my favorite song off this album. Yes, it was a single. Yeah, that song definitely is a very dope song, man. Like, that beat is like let's slow down. Like, I love that fucking sample that they picked. And the thing about this song was the fact that each member, what they talked about, except the Pacific, but Sadat X, he talked about this girl who I haven't seen in a while, of course, and she has his drug addiction and shit like that, and he's just basically trying to, he's basically trying to school her and shit like that. Especially when he says the lines like, "Hey baby, your hips are getting big, now you're getting thin, you don't care about your wig. No Hoolie Willie got a pair of my sneakers. Wonder where he got them, cause I hid him behind my sneakers." Which means that she got his little kid stealing his sneakers for crack and shit. And he also said some shit like, "With the wide-eye look and a rotten tooth smile, used to walk with the swagger. Now you simply stagger from one spot on to the next spot on to this next spot on to the next." Like, he killed it. He killed it on that. He had the best verse on that shit right there. Lil Jamar had his second verse. His verse was talking about like gold diggers and shit. And then Grand Pooba was just basically he did this thing, braggadocio and shit. But Sadat X, Slow Down, that song is a hip hop classic. I don't care what nobody says. That's a perfect example of a club.
That's a perfect example of a club banger and shit. Track number 11, Try to Do Me. That song was alright. I could have done without that song, to be real. Track number 12, Who Can Get Busy Like This Man? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Pooba's solo track. Let me double check. Hold on. Let's see. No, it's not. Well, yeah, basically it is a Pooba solo track. Cause so that X, he only appears like in the beginning, but yeah, Who Can Get Busy Like This Man? Very cool song. Then we get to Grand Pooba, Positive, and LG. Nice little posse kind of cut and shit like that. Positive K, man, he's definitely one of the most slept on MCs at that time and shit like that. If you guys like early 90s hip hop, East Coast hip hop, you guys should know about his album The Skill That Paid the Bills. Definitely need to get my hands on that album, but that album is long out of print and shit. I think they re-released that album if I'm not mistaken, but yeah. Other than that, yeah, that song was pretty straight. Track number 14, Brand Nubian. Yeah, I could have done without that song and shit like that. Track number 15, Wake Up, Reprise in the Sunshine. This is the shit. I like this version way better than the remix and shit. Very cool song. Very nice, very good usage of the Roy Ayers sample and shit like that. You guys should know that sample. I'm not even gonna say it. And the last track, Dedication, which again was a bonus track. Wait, was this one a bonus track? Yeah, I believe this one was a bonus track. Hold on. No. Excuse me. Brand Nubian was a bonus track. Okay. We have Dedication, self-explanatory. Pooba dedicating, to all the cats that he was down with, like Public Enemy and shit like that. And even though it's like a dedication song, he's still like he's still rapping and shit like that. He's still like rapping. And he's also like paying homage to like the cats that influenced him, as well and shit like that, So yeah, very dope song. And then he even said that on the Check the Technique book that not that many cats did dedicate. I think he was the first of his kind to do like a dedication track, because I think it was after him, a lot of MCs did like dedications tracks. Prime examples, Compton's Most Wanted with Music to Drive By and shit like that. So yeah. Yeah, I do apologize for that phone call and shit like that. A nigga did get hungry. But yeah, regarding my thoughts on this album is definitely a hip hop classic. Definitely a hip hop classic. It definitely is one of my favorite conscious hip hop albums of all time. But my only gripe about this album, and it's kind of similar to People Instinctive Travels and Past the Rhythm. I felt that it had a bit too many Puba solo tracks, but it was slightly a little justified because Puba was kind of making a name for himself, you know, as a member of the Master of the Ceremony and shit. And with that being said, and shit like that, you know, he had that clout on him. Cause in the early 90s, let's be real, Puba was one of the top MCs at that time in the early 90s and shit, you know. I would say, in my opinion, from 1990 maybe up to like 94, and I'm definitely going to talk about his first 2 albums sometime next month and shit like that. Stay tuned on those. And so yeah, but yeah, love this album. You know, this album definitely has like that, like the beats were very like it was very lighthearted, but at the same time they were commanding your attention with the lyrics and shit, which one thing I always loved about Grand Nubian. But it was after this album that Grand Puba, he had left Grand Nubian due to like creative differences, you know, because they were like fighting a lot and shit like that. So he dropped his solo debut about 2 years later. So that's gonna be possibly my next. Actually, I'm gonna save that review. I'm gonna take my time on that review and shit like that. So yeah, Brand Nubian solo debut album, must have in your collection, and this album is actually still in print too. That's all the time I have. Stay tuned for more. Peace.